Hello and welcome to my podcast on Unit 57, The Nature of Economic Activity. By the end of this podcast, you should be able to understand the meaning and nature of the economy. You should be able to analyse the factors which affect economic activity and be able to predict what can happen to economic factors when variables change. So first of all, what do we actually mean by the economy? It's not a single entity. In other words, the economy is not a single unit. It actually refers to the combined actions and behaviours of a number of different groups, which you can see in front of you. So let's start with UK businesses. So what we have here is BP or BT, in other words, British Telecoms, and you also have a local florist. Now the difference between these is BP and BT are multinational companies and the florist would be a sole trader. So big or small, both of them make a great contribution to our economy. Next, there's the people. So on this picture you can see people working for HSBC, and you can also see somebody using the HSBC card. So whether they act as employees of a business or consumers of their product, they help keep the economic cycle moving, which we will look more into in the next podcast. Last of all, there is the government, which sets up the economic framework for our businesses to operate in. It's also a major provider for many goods and services. Here you can see the NHS, which as you know is free, and on the bottom right is a turbine, which up until recently the government have been subsidising, in other words financing the development of wind farms, to help make our country more environmentally friendly. Economic activity refers to the production of goods and services. The total output that the primary, secondary and tertiary sector make within a year adds up to the gross domestic product. We can also refer to this as the GDP. Let's have a look at how the UK economy has changed within the last 25 years using the BBC News website. As a result of economic variables, the GDP rises and falls. A rise in GDP usually results in high levels of employment. As product demand increases, businesses need to employ more people to keep up with production. All of this leads the business's profits to rise, which is great news for the stakeholders, and it also means that businesses can expand and develop. For our government, this means increased tax revenue. The taxpayers' money can be spent on services like healthcare and education. Alternatively, the government might reduce our taxes, which, as you can imagine, increases their popularity and makes them more likely to be re-elected. Looking at the graph, identify the years in which the Great Recession and the Great Depression took place. Research their causes and their effects on the economy. Use this website to compare the differences between gross domestic product and gross national product. To help you with this podcast, you should have collected a blank copy of the circular flow of income model. We're about to analyse the effects that businesses, the government and people have on the flow of our economy. The whole economy can be divided into two groups, households and firms. Working individuals bring an income from firms into their households. However, much of this income is quickly returned to firms as households spend their earnings on utility bills, repayments, grocery products and other goods. There are three reasons for which not all of the household income is returned directly into firms. These are taxes, savings and imports. Take a moment to find the definition of each in your textbook on page 328. We refer to these as leakage. However, there are a number of injections which can help cancel out the leakages. These are government spending, exports and investment. Take a note of their definitions from your textbook. If total leakages are greater than the total injections, the level of economic activity will fall. This means that some businesses will experience a drop in the demand for their products. They may make employees redundant. They will invest less as they are not very optimistic about the future, or may even close down. If total injections are greater than total leakages, the level of economic activity will rise. This means that demand will rise and businesses will take on more employees and invest more. However, rising injections of income may mean that spending is increasing too fast and that businesses cannot meet the rising demand for their products. This will result in prices rising rapidly and can be very damaging for the economy.